What is up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome back to another podcast episode. Audio only. I'm a little sad about that we're not in video yet. Anyway, my name is Luke, and I am joined by Mr. Tyler.
What is up? What is up? I'm getting pretty tired of the audio only episodes. I'm going to be honest. I'm hoping we can get back together soon. But as usual, joined through the powers of Skype by the beautiful Brett Eitzen.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And yes, unfortunately, the world can't see how beautiful I am tonight, but maybe
we
next
can,
week.
and that's what matters.
That's all that matters.
We got to figure out a way to do this where like we each have a camera or something, or just record our actual Skype thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Technology,
I can plug
though.
my camera in.
Oh yeah, you both have cameras.
I
Yes,
have
we
a
do.
camera, but I don't have a cord. It's in the mail.
Okay.
It's in the mail.
Well, eventually then. Eventually.
Eventually, hopefully. I feel like the mail system's kind of shoddy right now.
It's-
Dude, I got mail on Sunday. Like Easter Sunday.
That's not right.
I was like, what?
That's not right.
I was like, what is happening?
Did you guys have a good Easter weekend?
I did, yeah.
I did.
I played Pandemic.
Ooh, I love that game.
Fitting.
Me too.
I've never won either. That
Yeah.
makes me very depressed about what's happening in the world right now. But
I've
we
won.
can't save the world in a board game. I don't feel very good about our chances in real life.
oh yeah, no, that's a good one though. It's a good one.
It is.
Luke, what'd you do this last weekend?
I mainly was hanging out at my parents' house for the Easter weekend, and ever since Logan and Carly moved back to the U.S., they've been staying there as well. So I hung out with them a lot this weekend, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
We actually, my mom and Carly sent in that question last week about all the chick flicks.
Yeah.
And we ended up watching some chick flicks this week with the whole fam. It was kind of fun. One that I had seen already that we watched last night. We watched Mean Girls. That is a fantastic movie. I love that movie. I think
So good.
Regina George is fantastic. Rachel McAdams, she's so evil, and I love it. The other chick flick that we watched that I had seen on like TV before, because I used to watch anything that popped across cable channels, was Legally Blonde, but I didn't really remember it, so it was pretty much like watching it for the first time. That one was not as good. It had a lot of really funny moments that made me laugh pretty loud, but I just couldn't get past all the bad acting and the terrible writing. But it was pretty funny, and I enjoyed myself enough. Another movie we watched a movie like every night.
Nice.
The other movie that we watched wasn't a chick flick, but we watched The Accountant. I was the only person that had seen that movie out of my
Nice.
family, and my dad really
love
wanted
that
to watch
movie.
it. Yeah, I love that movie too.
It's a good movie.
I don't think they liked it as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they were a little confused at the end, but also we didn't really talk a whole lot about it either, so I don't really know. But I love that movie, and I think people should check that movie out.
The show.
It's really good. It's got a lot of twists and turns in it, which is a lot of fun, and Ben Affleck's really good in it.
Affleck's good actor. I don't know why people hate him so much.
Because he was the J-Lo squeeze for a while, and he was doing all those types of movies like Jiggly, and he gets a bad rap for doing Daredevil because that movie was
everyone has
not so good.
low points in their career though, so
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like look at Ezra Miller.
you're not wrong.
Sorry.
did he?
Sorry, too soon?
Did
or
he
no?
put out a bad performance or something? What happened?
Oh no, just trying out his
He's trying to
It's a
learn out his.
wrestling
It's a
moves.
reality show or something.
He's trying
He's
out for the
perfecting that
WWE,
RKO
from what I
out of
heard.
nowhere.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey burned the WWE bridge, so Ezra Miller said he'll pick up the torch.
I love it.
Nice.
Oh. The other thing that I watched was I watched the added 8th episode to Tiger King, the Tiger King and I.
I did that as well.
I liked it. I thought it was informative to see what has happened to some of the people they interviewed for that show since it aired, and took over the world by storm. And they dropped even some more stories that are just like, wow, I can't really believe that. That's insane. And you really hear what they think about all these people.
Yeah.
And it's Joel McHale hosting kind of like a talk show. So if you haven't checked out that 8th episode yet, I would recommend you do that. I thought it was a good final episode, and I thought it was like a little palate cleanser, because it's like, okay, we can kind of move on from this now. It's not just like, oh my gosh, what is all this nonsense, and now it's over. Like,
well, and it's very different than it's not just another episode of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much a behind the scenes, like DVD bonus feature type of thing, where it's like, okay, after the dust is kind of settled, let's sit down. And there were a couple people who he interviewed. I think there were like 7 or 8 total that I thought were really good. But for the most part, I didn't think it had as much intriguing content as you apparently thought it did. So
I think I liked how Joel McHale really asked some pretty tough questions that I would not want to be asked.
Sure.
Like they straight up like ask people like, what do you think about this person, or did you do this, or did they do that? And they tell some pretty wild stories. Like they talk to Jeff and his wife, Lauren, and they like ask some pretty like intense questions, like, do you know everybody hates you, and should Joe be in jail? And they're like, yeah, and like all this stuff.
He's such a narcissist, though, that
yeah, but they asked that for like everybody,
sure,
like especially like when Kirkham is telling his last story.
Was such a and remember, we're gonna be open again, and when we want you to come to the for him, it was such a sales pitch. I felt like it was validation of they vilified me in the show. Come see the real me at our park, and whereas when it's like,
gotta make that money.
When it's any of the,
Absolutely.
I mean, probably when it, if you listen to our review 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
we talk about how the only like likable characters are kind of those like secondary workers at the main park that is shown. I thought those interviews were the more interesting ones, because it was a little bit behind the scenes, like, oh no, like Joe really did like, he
did these people dirty.
He did these people wrong. He did these tigers wrong, right? He did the animals wrong, and he twisted the stories. So I did think that part was interesting, if not maybe a little validating. But yeah, no, it's a okay, I think, conclusion to the series. So we'll see. I'm sure they'll try and milk it for all it's worth, though. There might be more coming out here in another year.
Listen, if they can get an interview in between Joel McHale and Carol Baskin, I'm all in. I'll watch.
Yes,
I'll watch that forever.
Yeah, she'll never agree to it, but yeah.
Oh, no way. But
let's
get Howard on the show. How about
Howard? Howard just seems like such an interesting person. I just would love to see more of Howard. Was that all you did this week, Luke?
I played tons more Destiny.
You played a ton of Destiny.
I'm light level.
Naturally.
Of course. I mean, my cap light level, including the light power bonus, is 1010.
Nice.
So I'm in the Comma Club, which is cool. Just doing the grind. Me, Brett, and Hunter played some competitive Crucible the other night. Way too late early into the morning.
Yeah.
I really actually regret that. I'm still really
tired. The first 2
tired
hours
from
of that was really, really fun, and then the last hour and a half was.
We started getting really tired, and we were kind of getting antsy with each other. Somebody would say something and be like, well, and then like, I don't know, it was probably like 1:30. I was like, I'm just tired of playing this game mode.
I'm glad you said something, because I would have gone at least one more. I just needed one more for that quest step, but I finished it the next day. It was fine. I just jumped in with some randoms, but yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so we play a lot of that. I also watched the Tiger King thing. The other thing that I did this last week was I finished The Morning Show, which is a Apple TV Plus show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and Steve Carell. Although Steve Carell's not in it as much as you might think based on advertisements. He's a very important character, and what he does do is, important for the show. But like this is maybe one of my favorite drama series of the past 5 years. I don't think it quite reaches to some of the heights that something like Chernobyl does, but Chernobyl is such a limited series run type thing, and this being something that you can tell it wants to have legs. It wants to go 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with everything from the cast to the writing to the story and the plot and where they take things and how they play with your emotions. And they represent pretty much like every possible view. If you're not aware, it's a kind of around the Me Too movement and sexual abuse in the workplace at a TV station, which was obviously very relevant like in the last 3 years. So it's kind of writing on that theme and dealing with those kinds of things, and I think it does a really, really good job. I know not a lot of people have Apple TV Plus or think they have it. If you've bought a new Apple product within the last 6 months, you probably have a free year of it. But if not, it's still super cheap. It's like $5 a month. I don't know if I would recommend right now, adding another streaming service. But if you have 1 or 2 streaming services, you kind of cap those out. It might not be bad to drop $10 for 2 months and binge all of that content. Because out of what I've watched on Apple TV Plus, I've been very pleasantly surprised so far. So
you shared a pretty descriptive thing from the show C with us this weekend.
C is
probably not worth talking about here.
Well,
but
yeah. So
what did you think of C? What are your impressions of C, just for people who are curious?
I've just watched the pilot episode of C, starring Jason Momoa. This is where it's a kind of a post-apocalyptic world and everyone is blind. And I'm not real impressed with that one yet. I'm willing to give it a shake. We'll see. I'll watch the rest of the season and I'll report back. But yeah, that's been the one so far that I've been not impressed with. It's a cool premise. It's just it seems like it's really bad writing, and
I hate the premise.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe it's just I don't know.
So it's less.
I just hated the trailer so much.
Yeah. It's definitely more more complicated than the trailer makes it, and I think there might be a little more mystical in there. It's not completely grounded in reality, I don't think. So we'll see.
I just couldn't get past the single, like, in the trailer they're like, "Oh my gosh, our kid can see." How do you know?
Well,
you're all blind.
It certainly seems like that was glossed over in the trailer. They haven't even, like, the kids have been born by the end of the first episode, but so much other stuff is happening that we haven't even got there yet. So I think there's probably a decent reason in the actual show how they figure that out, but I'll report back.
Maybe it's the final shot of the show. He can see. Season 2 coming soon.
So Tyler, did you do anything else this week?
Anything else? I mean, I did some
I know
things.
you've been grinding out on the D2.
Yeah, I have my own version of D2, the Division 2. I finally was able to beat the Warlords of New York DLC. I had a mission in there that was glitched out, and I couldn't progress any further, so I was just stuck. And I know they did a title update last week, so I was like, hey, maybe I'll run in there and see if I can beat it. And it actually let me progress it, and I was able to finish the DLC. Um, I did all of it except for the final boss fight solo. I couldn't beat the final boss, so I had to invite some randoms from the clan, the What the Fanboy clan I created when that game came out.
Yes.
Nice.
And these two guys joined me. They helped me beat Keener, and we played for about 4 hours after that.
Dang,
And
making friends.
yeah, it was cool. It was a good time. What I will say about the Division 2, and I kind of wanted to talk about this for a little bit, but I'll make it pretty quick. After you beat the game, they have now, you get Aaron Keener's, or after you beat Warlords of New York, you get Aaron Keener's watch, and it essentially becomes like what Diablo 3 did. You level cap at 40, and every time you make enough experience to level up, you get a watch rank, which you just level up again, like you level up the watch, and you get a stat point to put towards. There's 4 categories. There's attack, or there's damage, there's armor, there's skill, and then there's handling, and then you get a scavenger rank, and it goes around that watch. So every level, like the first one is damage, the second one's armor, third is skill, 4 is handling, 5 is scavenger, and then 6 would be damage again, and you just rotate through. So it gives you something to work towards and boosting your stats there. And then they also now have a season type deal like most games do anymore. And they have a battle pass that is free, and you level that up and you get content from it. It's just like a content drip, kind of like I think what Destiny does. But it's really cool. Like the manhunt thing of Warlords of New York is now in DC as well. And throughout this season, they're releasing different, like the underbosses. So like the first 2 bosses are named Venus and Neptune. And so you have to play through, like, there's a checklist of things you have to do to unlock the opportunity to go fight each boss. It makes it really fun. I've really enjoyed jumping back in. Their new recalibration system is fantastic. It's very simple. It's very easy. Building out your character is very, very easy to do now, which I like because I thought it was way too complicated. I'll leave with this. I have built a character that is basically a glass cannon. I do not have a lot of armor, but man, I can do some damage. I did a mission with those guys Saturday night, and I had just beat it, so I had just started specking out my character, and I did 1.2 billion damage.
Oh my gosh.
So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, my character's pretty ridiculous. Hopefully I don't get banned because I know they're banning people for doing damage exploits. If I did one, I didn't know I did it.
Better check all the Reddit threads.
Yeah, and I started doing that because I was like, 1.2 billion damage is pretty outrageous. But yeah, like they were like blown away by it, and they've been playing it. I mean, they're level 50 and 60 on their season pass. So, but no, I've really enjoyed it, man. I don't have enough good things to say about it. I hope more people give it a chance and take some time to jump into this season and kind of see what they're offering because I think it's pretty cool. The other thing I did, video game wise, I played some more Animal Crossing. They had their first, it was called Bunny Day, which Easter event. I didn't play a whole lot of the Easter event, but basically you got all these new crafting recipes, and if you crafted everything, you got a special gift. I know Dana completed everything, which is pretty cool. And I don't know if she thinks the gift that you get at the end is worth it, but she did it. But I played more of that. I really enjoy it. It's definitely a game that's really relaxing. I can put my feet up and play it and not worry about anything, which is super nice. And I can play it with Dana, which is always enjoyable.
It sounds like a classic exotic quest. Go through all this super difficult stuff and get this weapon that you know you're never going to use.
Yeah. Except for in Animal Crossing, you get a decoration for your house that you'll never use.
Put a wreath on my door.
I did make a wreath this past weekend on Animal Crossing, but it wasn't for Bunny Day. Final thing I did, actually, I guess not the final thing. I finished DC Universe All-Star Games. I may have finished that last week. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I finished that a couple weeks back too.
yeah, it was really good. I don't know if we ever talked about it. I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
The guy Xavier is the most creative person on that table. I
Yep.
think with how he attacks people, it was awesome.
Yeah, he's also a wrestler, so
Yeah.
he can think of some things to attack people and has kind of that acting.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of
The
like wrestling, but
improvisation
it's on a
skills.
board game.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good at it. He made Batman a murderer. I thought that was cool. Just do something different. He's like, not this time. And then the final thing I did is I started A Gentleman in Moscow. I've heard this book referred to as a modern day classic by a ton of people, but most importantly by my favorite author. And so that has incited me to give it a shot. And I am about 60, 70 pages in. It's a lot slower of a read for me. It's a very, I think it's a pretty high level book. That's taking some adjusting for me as I've been reading a lot of, murder mysteries that just kind of are fun romps. This one's like takes place during the Bolshevik Revolution. The protagonist his name is Count. I can't say his last name. Count Russian guy.
Count
And
Olaf.
It's like Rostov. But he wrote the poem that they think incited the Bolshevik Revolution. And so he gets pretty much put into exile within the Metropole Hotel for the rest of his life. And if he ever steps outside of it, they'll kill him. So it's just about how he copes with life being locked in a hotel. And he meets this little girl who lives at the hotel, and she wants to be a princess, and he's met princesses, and he's kind of been around royalty, and so he's telling her, teaching her manners and what kind of person she needs to be. And apparently she ends up at some point getting put in danger, and he is willing to risk his life to save her. I don't know how he'll do that without leaving, but I'm interested to see where it goes. But it's pretty good. Amor Towles is the author. He was part of that Forward novella collection.
Which one did he write?
I'm getting ready to look that up because I knew you were about to ask me.
Did he write the "This is your end of your this is your destination"?
Maybe.
You've arrived at your destination.
Yeah, he did write that one. Yep, that was the one he wrote. So, checking that out. I'm hoping to finish that within the month because the guy who wrote Chaos Walking has a new book coming out next month, and I'd like to be ready to read that.
Very nice.
But that is my week in a nutshell. Thank you for listening to me spew about The Division.
It's all good. All
Heck
good.
Yeah.
Great. Well, then should we move on to some news?
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
talk some news. All like 2 stories.
Oh, you didn't do enough research if you only got 2 stories. There's at least 4.
I have more than 2. I have more than 2. I think I have 3.
I will start off with one that I think is really interesting, and that is this last weekend we had Trolls World Tour had its digital release, and it did that thing that they're kind of doing now, which is like, let's have a watch along, except it's up until now it's all been things that have previously been released, and they made a big deal about like this is going to be a social event online, and according to them, they haven't shared any numbers yet, but they said it was the biggest opening day / weekend for a digital release ever, which would be really cool. The fact that, in a time when we're not getting a lot of movies, when we're seeing a lot of movies delayed or pushed, that there was at least something out there that people were able to consume kind of in the moment and enjoy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Artemis Fowl about to steal all those numbers, man.
Do we know when that's coming out?
I think just the day it was supposed to be released in theaters, but just
In
on
May?
Disney Plus, yeah, or June. I don't know.
Gotcha.
What is that? um, so a trailer that I saw this week that I'm pretty excited for is there was a trailer for Homecoming season 2. It's a Amazon original, and it's a mystery drama. The first season was revolving around this little camp for soldiers to kind of work their way back into living in the U.S. To readjust, but there is mystery and plot involved, and I don't want to say too much because it's pretty wild. I was a really big fan of that first season. It really surprised me. This second season is starring Janelle Monáe. It's going to be more of an anthology, it looks like, which I think is really cool, and I'm really excited for it. So
Nice.
Sweet.
Comes out on May 22nd.
Awesome. I'll stay in the TV show-ish kind of thing world. Boom Studios signed a 2-year first look contract with Netflix. I don't know. Well, Boom Comic Books, Boom Studios. I don't know what properties they have that will be their big pools. But Brett, you had mentioned one of them.
Yeah, Mouse Guard is probably going to be their biggest pull right now, at least. I think it's, a little bit like, what's Bloodshot's variant? Valiant. I think a little bit like Valiant. Like you don't think of them as having these, these big properties, but when they're given to, and obviously I don't think Bloodshot did this, but when they're given to a studio to make either a movie or, and they're not given like overly bloated budgets, but just give good creatives what they need to tell a good story. I think these properties are probably going to shine. And Mouse Guard's the one I'm most excited about, as it's one that I've seen a partial treatment for in the past that it's really intriguing to me. So,
man, that little leaked trailer that they put out,
super dope.
That was incredible.
So there's a few properties. I'm kind of looking through their comic series, and obviously this doesn't mean they have the rights to all these things, but Adventure Time is a pretty big one for them, probably. Ben 10, Big Trouble in Little China, and Bill and Ted are comic book properties for them. They have the Power Rangers. There was one other. Oh, and they have the comic book rights for Firefly.
Ooh, okay.
So there is definitely potential for some pretty big stuff. They also have the Dark Crystal.
Okay.
So there is potential for some pretty big properties to come out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Power Rangers one is interesting to me with those movies kind of falling apart. I wonder. They have RoboCop as well.
Weren't they trying to make a RoboCop sequel to like RoboCop 1?
Oh, one of those things where they ignore the last. Yeah, probably.
I wonder whatever happened to that.
I think RoboCop could be a fun little animated series.
Listen, straight up, I didn't really think that the reboot with Joel Kinnaman was that awful.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was entertained.
They went for the broad market mass appeal, and there's
they almost did it.
It's hard to screw that up too much.
Yeah.
But no, I'm super excited to see what comes out of that. I like when these smaller studios get a chance to shine.
Yeah. Well,
smaller comic book.
Let's
prints.
talk about a big studio. Disney Pixar, they had 2 of their animated films move due to coronavirus and scheduling. Soul, which is Pixar's movie, that was coming out in June, got bumped back to November, so November 2020. That's at this point, it's not really a surprise, just here for information. And then Disney had an animated movie coming out that same in December time, called Rayla and the Last, not Rayla, it's Raya and the Last Dragon. And that was pushed from November, December to March. So that's one that I'm very interested to see more of.
Me too.
I think
that one sounds so intriguing to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I like the concept arts that have come out for it.
Like anytime Disney or Pixar does something original and it's not just like a sequel, I'm way more interested, and I'll absolutely, like, I bash Disney a lot for just doing, live action remakes. So anytime they do something original, I'm gonna give them money at the theater, just hoping that they'll keep doing that rather than remaking things.
Speaking of that, Disney's Robin Hood, the Fox version, is going to be remade.
Podcast is over. I'm done.
When I originally read this, I assumed it was going to be like a live action version like they keep doing. But then I heard that somewhere else that it's going to be kind of in their new style of animation. Like the
Oh, cool.
And honestly, I mean, if it's live action, screw that, man. That one should not be live action, but I'm not like asking for it, but if they do the kind of new animation style with like all of this really cool detail with that, I'm willing to check it out.
Yeah.
I think that I could think that could be pretty interesting.
I've been kind of on my very short lists of things that I think could use maybe a remake just for visual effect, but still stay within animation. The Sword in the Stone, I also kind of have that feeling of.
You're speaking my language.
It's such a good movie, and like we actually just watched it the other day,
movie.
and Claire really enjoyed it. Maybe it doesn't need a fresh coat of paint, but I think you could go in and modernize those stories a little bit. Not so much that it's like a completely different story, but a lot of those films were made back before. Let's just say
I'm going to Bermuda.
Disney does not have the best record when it comes to dealing with things like racism in their older animated films, and I'm okay with tweaking that for newer releases. I think it absolutely should stay in the originals because that's how they were made, and it's important for history not to alter that. But if you're gonna remake it, polish it up a little bit there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'd be down for that. And
what else do you guys got?
I have 2 movies that showed some screenshots.
Tell me more
today. Talk about the first one that we've already seen quite a few screenshots from. Wonder Woman released 2 new images today. One of Diana in the Golden Eagle armor. That one's dope.
That really armor is looking better and better.
Yeah, every time I see it, I think I like it a little bit more. The second photo, though, that I really, really, really liked was the scene in front of the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah.
And it's Diana and Steve kind of embracing each other.
Mm-hmm.
That shot, that picture is breathtaking, really. It seriously is just incredible. And part of me, too, is, I'm from there. It's always cool to see, where you're from on screen. And, man, I tell you what, that picture is awesome. I told Dana we should go recreate it with the blue light and all.
Yes.
But she laughed at me like I was stupid, so I probably won't have it.
Dana!
But I feel like she's gonna cry like 4 different times in that movie. I can't wait. It's gonna be so awesome. Like
Yeah,
good cry, not bad cry.
yeah. Those shots that they both showed were both very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very
Yeah.
excited and very nervous for that movie.
I'm really interested in the color palette. It looks pretty broad. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of different.
It's the '80s.
Yeah, that's true too. It is the '80s. Good call. It's gonna be fun. But the other one, and I think this is the one that's probably more of a talking point. We got our first look at Timothy Chalamet from Dune,
Yep.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
and that movie. I don't know much about the Dune story. Like I listened to a little bit of the audiobook and I was like, okay, this is a lot. But Villeneuve being attached, and I'm not as big of a Villeneuve fanboy as you guys are, but I do like every movie I've seen of his. I've thoroughly enjoyed. So I'm super excited to check this one out. And Chalamet, that dude is gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of faith in that movie. I think it's going to do really well. This shot looks awesome. I'm curious to see. I see a lot of comments talking about how it's not as orange as they thought it would be,
Well, so
and I'm kind of like glad it's not. I'm sure he's on a
that's the
different planet.
thing. They explained this in the article that came out with it, but that's him getting ready to leave his home planet to go to Arrakis. So,
Guys, I think I'm gonna take on Dune at some
it.
point, man.
Do
I
it.
just have to read it.
I am too. I might wait till after the movie.
I kind of want to read it before the movie.
I don't want it to be ruined, man. Like I want to be able to watch the movie and go, oh.
Dude, so that is kind of one of those things like as I've gotten older, like book to movie, I've learned to appreciate them as a different, like separate
Yeah.
mediums. And I think it's, I mean, sure, some people have a hard time with it, but like for me, I read Ready Player One. It's probably my favorite book, but I still really like the movie, even though they kind of dismiss a lot of what happens in the book.
Yeah.
So I don't think that'll be an issue for me. But maybe that's where I go next, and then I'll never finish my reading goal for 2020.
No, you
Been
probably
reading
will
that one for
not.
6 months. Yeah, that image was gorgeous. It got me super excited, and I remember we were texting about it, and I was like, "Well, looks like I'm gonna have a little Villeneuve marathon this week." I probably won't watch 2049 because I just watched it because I had a Blade Runner mini marathon a couple weeks ago. But I can definitely sit down and watch Prisoner, Sicario, and Arrival and just be a happy little boy. Also, that
Nice.
logo
Yes, the
is-
title treatment is
Yeah,
gorgeous.
awesome.
Very well designed.
I really like it. I like it a lot. That's all I got.
I have a little gaming story here. We learned today that the ESRB, which is the
Oh yeah.
essentially the
Sorry.
the people who say this is what a game is rated. They're adding a new descriptor on boxes and to games that have loot boxes or purchasable items. If you're familiar with I don't know, a lot of people probably aren't paying attention. Oh no, the cat is gonna rip out my headphones. Oh, go over there. Podcat, be gone. So like when you go to the Apple App Store, for instance, and you're scrolling right next to where it says like buy or get, you can there's usually a little descriptor there if they have in-app purchases, and so essentially they are bringing that into digital and print versions where it's going to say in-game purchases, and then below that it'll say if there's actual like loot boxes, which is random things. It'll have another little disclaimer, includes random items. So that's
I like
that's good.
that.
It needs to be more prevalent in the gaming atmosphere outside of just mobile. So
Yeah.
Guys, before we move on, Dune is $1.99 on Kindle right now.
Do it.
I actually own the audiobook for it already.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna buy it tonight.
I got a couple more stories here. Nothing really huge, but Matt Reeves had an interview. He was doing press for Tales from the Loop, which he's a producer on for Amazon, and Deadline was asking him about the Batman and COVID-19 and how it was affecting it, and he's like, well, we only shot 25% of the movie. So they've done a quarter of that, and they also asked how involved, because it comes up every time, the origin story, and are Bruce Wayne's parents going to get murdered again? And the Batman is not going to be an origin story. So we can cheer.
Good.
I don't think that means
Woo!
that's no guarantee that Bruce Wayne's parents won't get murdered.
Very true, but it's not going to be the main focus.
If Bruce Wayne's parents can get murdered in a Joker movie, they can get murdered in a movie that's still about Batman but not about his origin.
Also, spoilers for Joker.
If you wanted to see Joker by now, you've seen Joker by now.
Truth.
The next thing, Taika Waititi did a live stream on Instagram while watching Thor Ragnarok, and he wasn't really watching Thor Ragnarok very much, but he was cooking dinner, which I thought was fantastic. It was really funny. If you didn't tune into that at all, you really missed out. Tessa Thompson showed up. Mark Ruffalo showed up. But he was talking to Tessa Thompson, who plays Valkyrie, and she asked about the script for Thor: Love and Thunder, and he was talking, and he's like, this movie is really crazy. It really makes Thor Ragnarok look like a safe film. He's like, we really went crazy on this one. It's like we got a bunch of 10-year-olds in the room and just said yes to all of their suggestions.
That's awesome.
So that movie is going to be nuts. I can't wait. And I want Taika to do more Instagram live commentaries because it's fantastic. The other thing I found out just today was about New Mutants, and I thought this was really interesting.
Disney Plus.
So
No.
it is about that, actually.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very strange. So I think this was Fandom that was talking about this. But apparently, in the deal that Disney made with 20th Century Fox, the movie has to be released in cinemas.
Oh.
So they can't send it to Disney Plus. The other side of that is HBO has the streaming rights to it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic.
So
I'm gonna.
if that's true, that's why it's not ending up on Disney Plus right now. It's because they literally cannot do it.
Wow. Come on, HBO Max.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be funny if X-Men movie shows up on HBO Max before it shows up on the Disney service.
It's amazing.
But it will have to be in theaters. So
How long until Gotham is on Disney Plus? Just to spite them.
oh, that'd be funny. That would be hilarious. I hope it shows up tomorrow. But that's all of my news. I am done.
All of my news as well. Tyler, you got anything else?
Nope. That's all I got.
Alrighty.
Cool.
Well, let's move then into. I had a Twitter question that I asked, or not I. I'm sorry, I don't want to reveal the.
It was Brett.
It was me. Over on Twitter, so our What the Fanboy account asked, what is the best thing that you've watched, played, or read during quarantine / stay-at-home orders, right? So that idea of we're all probably consuming a little more media than we usually do. Ironically enough, I think I'm the opposite, but that's just because we moved. Yeah, don't move in the middle of a
I
pandemic.
think I'm kind of in that same. I'm kind of in that same boat though, because I think I'm spending more time. Like I'm playing things that or watching things that I know take more of my time.
Sure.
So like the range of things I'm doing is a lot smaller, but I'm also spending more time on certain like specific things.
Yeah. So real quick before we kind of talk about what our favorite things we've enjoyed are, I wanted to read some responses. Thank you to everyone who responded over on Twitter. Saber Kai said, did I don't think I typed that whole response out. How embarrassing. We're going to pull up the actual tweet so that I know I get this right.
Embarrassing.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Dark Matter and The Expanse.
Yes, The Expanse.
Seasons 1 and 2, I assume. He didn't say which seasons, but our friend at pronounced Ian said Archer, What We Do in the Shadows, Frozen 2. Oh, we got a Frozen 2 fan. And Altered Carbon Season 2. Siebel TV said Ozark Season 3. I really want to get into Ozark. I haven't yet.
I've started it.
Harrison said The Clone Wars, the final season, and Black Lightning Season 3. We have not talked at all about the final season.
I think we talked about
Clone Wars.
We talked about the premiere.
Yeah, I've
kind of been saving my thoughts.
A whole TV talk on it. But
yeah,
Luke, how are you? Like, thumbs up, thumbs down on the season so far?
I'm thumbs up.
Okay.
I think so far the first half with the Bad Batch was really good,
Mm-hmm.
and the last kind of arc they've been doing it's been good. I don't think it's been their best.
I would agree. I'll agree with that. I think that's a good thought there. Landon said Westworld Season 3. As the only person here who's watching Westworld, I completely agree. That show is amazing. And this season is really, really good too. And then finally, Cheers to Comics Podcast said Hell Arisen. I believe that's a comic. I didn't look too much into it. But that's awesome. We don't talk about comics enough. So
It's by James Tynion IV.
Is that the DC event that was kind of going on?
I think that was Deceased.
Oh, yeah.
However, James Tynion is the guy who wrote the Batman versus Ninja Turtles comics.
Oh, nice.
As well. He's awesome. He does a really good job. I don't know if what Hell Arisen is, but James Tynion is definitely someone I would be willing to check out. So maybe I'll look into that comic book.
Well, over on Cheers to Comics, said they're doing a whole episode just on it. They were so impressed with it, so you can go find them
nice.
if you're curious.
I'm gonna have to go check them out. Oh no, it is Luke. It's part of the Year of the Villain event.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Huh.
I'll probably, if I read it, it'll probably be when it's in full trade, so I can just read it all at once.
Either there or on the DC Universe app.
Yeah, hopefully
I
they
wonder
put
if
it
it's
there.
on there now. Guess who's gonna look?
Brett?
No.
Oh, darn. I for sure thought I was right there.
Maybe next time. Keep guessing. Okay, so that was the fanboys and fangirls' responses. What are your guys' thoughts on what's been some of the best things you've gotten to watch or read or play, if you're into that kind of thing?
Well, I guess I'll do one of each.
Okay.
Kind of main section. I'll start with movie because I had already actually seen it, but I watched it when the quarantine started. I watched Birds of Prey again.
Yeah.
That's out of the limited movies I've seen this year, that's still my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that movie was fantastic. I think it's an incredible comic book movie. It's different. It's got a great villain. The cast is really good. Fantastic action. And when it came out on digital, I just bought it because I was really excited to watch it. And I love that movie, and I really, really hope it gets a sequel.
Yeah. Agreed.
I've kind of talked about a movie I've watched. I already talked about it, but Moana. I had never seen it. Since the quarantine has started, I've kind of been trying to watch some older movies that I own and haven't watched, and I thought that movie was incredible.
I love Moana so much.
It was so good, man. I can't believe I hadn't seen it. I'm kind of disappointed.
I probably would have. I'll agree with Luke. Birds of Prey. It's been my favorite movie this year. But I want to throw out another one, and that's The Invisible Man. That was one where I remember seeing the previews back in the fall or early winter, and I was very intrigued, but because of its release window, which was late January, early February, I was a little bit like, though, that's oftentimes just kind of a filler placement for movies. Obviously, Universal with its dark universe plans, it went horribly, but it was, I think, written and directed. Was it written by Leigh Whannell also, or just directed? I don't remember.
I think he wrote it.
I think it was written and directed by Leigh Whannell, and I like him a lot. And so I had a little more faith in it, and was very pleasantly surprised in that it wasn't too much of a horror movie. It certainly has scary elements. As
You're okay, whatever.
I'm admitting that it's partially a horror movie.
Full on. No, I was kidding. Yeah.
But I think it's any adult can probably enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
As long as
that
you're
movie's really
okay
good.
with getting scared a little bit, right? Like, know what you're getting into, but it's not so gruesome that it would, scare away people who can't handle gore. It's not so scary, full of jump scares that it would scare away a lot of people. And it's very intriguing. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that movie's pretty anxiety-inducing.
I'd agree. My anxiety was through the roof when I was watching that movie. Brett knows what I'm talking about. He was sitting right next to me.
Maybe that's why I had less anxiety, is just because you were sitting next to me.
Oh man, I probably should watch another scary movie so I need to record myself doing it probably.
That'd be fun.
So everybody can
do a Twitch stream of you watching scary movies.
Please do. That'd be fun.
Let's make him play like Outlast.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no. Make me play some VR game.
We gotta get you a VR setup first.
Yeah.
Okay.
TV wise?
Yeah.
I had not heard of this until, I don't know, a week or two before it came out, I think, and it was what I reviewed last week, Tales from the Loop. It's a really unique slow build sci-fi anthology, and I was really impressed by it. I feel like it does a really good job of using themes and how like sci-fi usually does, where it's not just here's sci-fi, but instead it's a sci-fi premise and it's there to help you understand something. And it does a really good job at that. Like there's there's a show. One of the episodes is a kid grasping the idea of death. And it's really, really cool. There's an episode about dealing with trauma from when you were a kid. And they handled those so well. And I thought really everything in that show was just really, really good. Also, the score is just this really nice piano score, and it's really relaxing to listen to.
Yeah. Very cool. Tyler, do you have a show that you've been really impressed with?
Probably I'm not okay with this. That was like right as the whole quarantine thing started for us. It was like the first weekend of it, and we watched the first season in a day, which is for me like unheard of. It's just, it's produced by the people who did Stranger Things. It's that teenage kind of dramedy that I think works really well, especially right now, because it's pretty lighthearted, but I don't want to say too much because I have a feeling I'll be bringing this up again later, but there is some supernatural elements to it that the trailer kind of glosses over pretty quickly. Yeah. But it's definitely worth a watch. It's got Sophia Lillis from It in it, and she is very good at being awkward. So it
nice.
makes for a good comedy.
Cool. I've seen a lot of good TV, I feel like, in the past 2 weeks. I'm gonna throw out Westworld just because I think it.
Yeah, you've been harping on us about Westworld, man.
I don't know how I can convince you guys to watch that, but
at this point, I'm just waiting till season 3 is done. I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah. I've talked a little bit about it, but it continues, I think, to, if not raise the bar, at least meet the bar that it set for itself, which is pretty high. So, yeah, very
nice.
Cool. I'll keep my comment short and sweet.
Sweet.
Gaming wise,
you gotta say it.
I'm just trying to see if I've played any other games. No, I guess I have. I've played Apex and Warzone with you guys. Yeah. But my life has pretty much just been grabbed by Destiny 2. Yes! I've played it so much, man.
Whoa.
And I've been having a great
Destiny
time.
2,
so.
What is that?
Oh, that was Destiny 1.
It's this sequel to a sci-fi shooter in space. Where you kind of have these cool little light powers too. You're trying to save the universe.
Can I be a space wizard?
You can, but I'd recommend being the space puncher.
Space Captain America.
Yeah, he or she, I guess, are definitely the ways to go.
I definitely when I did play that game, I played as a hunter. So
I like how we naturally fill out our fire team perfectly.
Yeah.
I just have to download the game again.
We did the same thing with Hunter.
Hunter
plays as a hunter. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He was playing Hunter, you were Warlock, and I was Titan.
Yep.
And that's why we crushed so many people.
I think my answer would have to be Animal Crossing.
Yeah, nice.
I am absolutely blown away by how much I enjoy that game. And especially in a time like right now where we can't go anywhere. Playing a video game where you just kind of take care of your island and just kind of do things, you go sell things, you go buy things, you build things. Like it's kind of therapeutic in a way. And it helps that I can play it with my wife. So, Animal Crossing has definitely been a lot of fun. Awesome. But close second is The Division 2.
Nice. I don't know if when it comes to a game, so the game I'll mention is one I really haven't played, but I've been watching Stephanie play it. And it's been really fun to watch her play it, and that's Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Just because I love Destiny 2, don't get me wrong. I could talk with Luke about it for 14 billion hours.
Let's do it.
But I just at a different point in that game with what I'm trying to do and what kind of enjoyment I get out of it. And I wouldn't, it's less of a, I love this thing, and it's more of a, okay, this is something nice and comfortable, right? And then the other game I've been playing a lot is Apex, and I've been having a lot of fun with Apex, but I was having a lot of fun with Apex before quarantine. But Ori is a game that, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, is a game that's evolved quite a bit from its first iteration, and it's gorgeous. It's a great platformer, like 2D platformer.
The music
is beautiful. Oh my gosh, Gareth Croker, I think, is the guy who did, or Crocker, I don't know, who did the soundtrack. It's amazing. And it's just so much fun to us sit down as a family, because even Claire likes to watch her play it. We'll just sit down in the evening and we'll let her play it for, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour, just so that she has a little me time, because she spends all day at home trying to work and also watch our 4-year-old, right? That's... super fun.
Sounds like a cakewalk.
So I think I feel like this is her little way of she's earned this, and it's fun to be there to be able to support her and just cheer her on. It's her own little live Twitch stream that's not online live. It's live in person Twitch stream. So yeah, I'll say Ori, even though I haven't played it.
Sweet. I haven't read anything, but I don't know if Tyler had a favorite book. Or are you, Brett? I don't know. But...
I finished Dry by Neil and Jared Schusterman. It's the only book I finished during this quarantine, and it was really good. I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads.
Nice.
Kind of surprised me a little bit. It dealt with some more mature themes than I expected it to. One of those themes being, what would you do if you were faced with imminent death and you saw no other way out? What decision would you make? And that theme is dealt with by a 15-year-old girl. And it's pretty sobering at times to read, what does the world look like in the face of a crisis, which we're currently in. So it was pretty real, it was eye-opening. And obviously everybody responds to these kinds of things differently, but just to see, what some people go through and see it through a different lens, I think was really good for me.
Nice. I have been reading books, but they're like the little kids' books that you read at nighttime.
The golden books?
Oh, we have so many golden books.
Zoo books?
So the only other thing I've read, and I'm gonna mention it just because I want to feed the hatred, is Tyler, don't shake your head at me. Don't.
How many times do you watch The Last Jedi at work, Brett?
I didn't know, but Rian Johnson did put out his script for Knives Out. So he makes as many of his scripts as he can available. Actually, The Last Jedi is the only one of his scripts that isn't like you can't download and read. I as someone who like wants to write scripts, I think it's really valuable. So I have read that, and it was good because the movie's good.
Typically, they put out the ones that are good. So it makes sense that Last Jedi is not available.
Oh, burn! That was a good burn. I love it, Ty.
I had to.
It was perfect. I set it up.
Yeah, you did. You served it up. I dunked it.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm here for you.
Luke, did you read any interesting like Twitter threads or anything you want to comment on reading wise?
I saw some pretty good memes.
Memes sometimes require reading. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Carol Baskin memes. Those are my favorite right now.
Love it. Okay, so there's two more things. First is what we're going to be setting up to do next week.
Next week.
Which we are going to do another Try New Things. Finally. Woohoo!
That's right.
It's been a minute.
Quarantine edition.
Yep.
Yoo-hoo.
So if you're newer to the show and you don't know what Try New Things is, it's where we each assign one of the other people in our group here. We assign them something to do that they've never done before, and then we come back the next week and we review it or discuss it.
Or trash
it. It's absolutely happened. I know I have Tyler, so I'll just start.
Yeah.
And say...
And then I'll do Luke's.
And we did have a theme. Did we stick with the theme? We stuck with the theme?
Streaming.
We agreed? Okay.
Originals.
So we're doing original content by a streaming service. So that could either be a show or a movie or like a limited series. It just has to be from a streaming service. So I am giving Tyler The King over on Netflix since we're in Chalamet hype mode for Dune.
I love it. I'm excited. I'll probably try to watch it before the weekend, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'll report back, let you guys know, and we will go from there. So I have Luke this time around, and Luke has watched pretty much everything under the sun.
This is true.
So trying to find something he hasn't watched yet is always a challenge. But we kind of discussed, and I think this one counts. I'm giving Luke I'm Not Okay With This. It's a Netflix original TV series starring Sophia Lillis and the other kid from It, who played Stanley. He plays Stanley in this show. And I hope you like it. It's produced by the people who did Stranger Things. It's funny. It's, that teenage dramedy.
Love it. I'm excited. I've heard good things about it.
It's pretty good. I think there will be some stuff you roll your eyes at, but for the most part, it's good.
Great. So I have Brett, the beautiful Brett, and I kind of talked about it earlier in the show. I'm going to give you Homecoming.
Yeah.
10 episodes of a mystery, half-hour episodes, and season 2 is coming out soon. So hopefully I can get you on the Homecoming train. Really, really good stuff. Good drama. Really good performances. Beautiful cinematography. It's really gorgeous stuff.
I do love me some good cinematography.
Yeah. There's some shots in it that you, are just really clever, and you're watching it, and you're just like, oh, I like that.
As someone who's very active on, film Twitter, I certainly will appreciate those kinds of things, I think.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm excited to hear everybody's thoughts about this. I like trying new things. It's always a lot of fun, and we haven't done one in forever, so I'm really excited.
Seems like a good opportunity.
We've got time.
All right, and then for our final section of the podcast tonight, we have our Fanbox. You can always tweet at What the Fanboy and ask us questions that we will answer on the podcast. You can also ask us over on Instagram, or you can send us an email at whatthefanboy@gmail.com. Tonight, we have one question. One wonderful question from the wonderful Mrs. Zilke.
What?
She didn't send this one to you, Luke?
No, she didn't.
It was on the she sent it to us via Instagram. So you see, even if
Very
you
cool.
use Instagram, we will still get it. I will get it. Luke might not get it, but I'll get it.
I'll see
Her
it.
question is, what is your must-have Easter candy? And is there a difference between the Reese's large eggs and the mini Reese's eggs?
Other than size?
Well, so I'm going to answer the second part first, because I think there is a difference between the Reese's large eggs and the mini eggs, and that is the ratio of chocolate to peanut butter. right?
The large egg has a lot more
The
peanut butter.
large egg is so rich. I mean, I can get through it. I can eat all of it, but I'm almost just tired of it by the time I'm done.
Halfway
Whereas
through.
if I eat the same amount mass-wise of the mini eggs, I think I can handle more of them. Or I can handle the same amount because that ratio of chocolate to peanut butter is higher in the chocolate than just the peanut butter. So that's my answer
I can agree with that. I would agree with that.
To bounce off that, it's not my favorite Easter candy, but the Reese's Egg, like peanut butter cup, the big one, is the greatest form of the Reese's. They are so much better than the trees and the normal peanut butter cups. It's the perfect shape. I think it's a beautiful ratio. I think they're a little bit bigger, too, than just the normal cups.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just delicious. Plus, Easter has the best candy. It's the best candy. My go-to Easter candy, though... I don't know. My favorite candy is Starburst.
Gah, don't do it. Starburst jelly beans, man. That's where it's at.
That's where I was going.
That's my favorite Easter candy as well.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you because Starbursts are my favorite candy, but to have them in jelly bean form is just
it's
like
perfect.
A little snuggle to my palate. I love it.
Dude, the all reds, man.
Every flavor, give it to me.
Have you seen the all red bags though? It's just all red Starburst jelly beans.
I want all the flavors.
Man. That does sound. I think
so
that
good.
sounds better to me than all of the flavors because Starbursts are great until you get an orange or a yellow, and then it's just like
I disagree completely.
I don't know.
I love all the flavors, and I specifically love orange and yellow. I think they're fantastic.
I'm glad someone's representing them.
I love that people don't like orange and yellow Starbursts because they're like, oh, I don't want this one. I was like, well, give me all 50 that you have that you're not eating, so I'll eat them.
I don't know if I have a favorite Easter candy. I've certainly grown up eating candy at Easter, but I don't know if I can think of one that's specific to Easter. That I think of, like, obviously Starbursts are around all the time. I'll go with what we put in Claire's this year, I guess, which was Skittles. I like Skittles a lot. I can't eat them like I used to because it hurts my teeth because I'm getting old. But that's probably would be my favorite is just, you can pop open a little packet of Skittles and it's just the right amount, and then the next day you can do the same, and you're not constantly eating out of a big bag. So
I do the opposite. I eat as many as I can.
Well, you're young. I'm jealous.
Younger than
I'm
you.
Envious of your youth, Luke. That was our only question. Thank you again, Mrs. Zilke, for that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks, Mom.
It was.
Thank you.
You guys have anything else to say here before we end the show?
No.
Review us on iTunes.
Yeah, so
go to whatthefanboy.com.
I say check out our website at whatthefanboy.com. It's got all of our links there. So if you're like, for whatever reason I can't find it on the Google Play Store, that link's there, right? The Spotify link's there, the Apple iTunes podcast links there, YouTube links there. We also have some reviews. We need to do some more reviews, some written reviews.
Yeah.
And then our TV talks and movie commentaries are there as well, which we need to do another movie commentary here, quarantine edition. But yes, if you leave a review,
Most deaf.
It means a lot. It helps us get discovered by more people. And we'd love to grow our fanboy and fangirl army. Army? That seems extreme.
Squad.
But yeah,
Squad is probably better. I'd agree.
Yeah, that's a little less aggressive, isn't it? Thank you for listening this week. Hopefully, here in the next couple weeks, we can at least have some sort of video production to go on YouTube. But until then, stay strong, stay safe, and
wash those
keep
hands.
washing your hands.
Don't touch your face.
Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.
I'm holding up my peace sign.